Both Jaylen Brown and Kristaps Porzingis to me are guys that the Bulls could potentially look at. And they could get a little bit more cheaply than they otherwise might, just because the Celtics are going to be a little bit desperate to clear out some money.
Well, then let's look at let's start with Jaylen Brown then. Let's take a look at him. There is his contract right there. He signed a 5-year extension worth $285 million. Shot out, brother. That's 53, 57, 61, and 64 is what he's going to be making. Whoa, I love it. It'll be over 30% of the cap will be an unrestricted free agent in the 2029-2030 season. Averaged 22, 5, and 4, shot 46% from the field, 32% from the three-point line, NBA champion, finals MVP, 4-time All-Star. You know the resume. He had knee surgery Wednesday. This past one that just happened, that is a yesterday, and expected to be ready for when training camp starts without limitations. That is a quote from CBS News.
Yeah, and you look at that contract, and all of a sudden you think, wow, $30 million for Coby or for Giddey is like not that bad, because Jaylen Brown's going to be making $65 million by the end of his contract.
Yeah.
So the money in the NBA is just getting outrageously big, and that's why you always have to look at what percentage of the cap. But if you're the Bulls, and we've been sitting here for the last 3 years talking about they need a star player, they need a number one option. I don't know if Jaylen Brown is like A1 number one option to win a championship, but he did win a finals MVP. He has won a championship. He is a big wing who can defend, who can create his own shot. And he's somebody that is injured right now, is a huge contract that his team is potentially going to be looking to move. And he's in his 20s still. Like, is he a kind of guy that you would want to go after? And to me, like, I don't know if I would want to like give up all the picks that the Bulls have, which is maybe what it would take, but that's the kind of player, two-way wing who can create his own shot and who has done it, who is still in his prime. Like, that's the kind of player you want to go after.
Yeah, definitely the kind of guy you would want to make that move on. Like you said, being over 30% of the cap and making $60 million, you wonder what production are you getting from that? And I'm
it's
sure
like
the first question.
The Celtics are going to want to get off of that before the contract becomes bad. Right?
Sure, absolutely, man. So, yeah, I would look at it. I can tell you that. It's not a definite done deal for me like it would be for Kevin Durant, just because of who Kevin Durant is. But Jaylen Brown, man, like I said, finals MVP, man, this is a gold medalist. This is an all-NBA basketball player. You definitely are going to take a flyer and take a look at him. The other Boston Celtic that we're going to talk about that they should take a look at is Kristaps Porzingis, ladies and gentlemen. Porzingis, you see his contract right there. Shout out to him. He signed a 2-year extension for $60 million in July of 2023, making $30.7 million exactly for the 2025-26 season. He'll be unrestricted in the season after that. He had a weird season. He was kind of injured. He played 42 games, 19 points, 6 boards, 2.1 assists, 48 from the field, 41 from 3. But he dealt with post-viral syndrome. This is from Brad Stevens. He battled an unknown illness during the regular season, and it set back his production and his play in the playoffs because it kind of came out of the blue. But Porzingis is definitely still somebody they should look at.
Yeah, and I mean, we've talked about the Bulls' ability to replicate what the Pacers are doing. Like, to me, Porzingis is the best option that could potentially be available in terms of guys that can really shoot the three at a high level and really protect the rim at a high level.
Yeah.
He's also not, deep into his prime. I think he's 30, 31 years old. So he's got some good time left in him. And maybe there's something that you can do around Vooch plus a pick to allow the Celtics to remain competitive next year, have a guy who I think Vooch plays similarly to Al Horford in some ways, who can be a ball mover, who can shoot the three, who can spot up, who can do some of those things. He's obviously not as good defensively, but like he could probably help the Celtics at a cheaper number, allow them to move on from Horford, which is something that they probably want to do. And also, when you talk about the availability, Al Horford is somebody who's not playing back-to-backs anymore. He's like 40 years old almost. Porzingis is missing half the year every year. Maybe the Celtics would really value that as a way to stay afloat, get somebody productive, and save a bunch of money. So to me, like, if the Bulls are looking to replicate the Pacers, they need a big like Porzingis, and he might be gettable just because of the financial situation the Celtics are in.
Yeah, that's true. All right, there's one more player to discuss, and he is my guy, Walker Kessler, Texas Ranger, ladies and gentlemen. I am excited about him, the Utah Jazz center. 3 years is how long he's been there. Let's take a look at his contract right there, ladies and gents. You see it, $4.9 million for the 2025-26 season. He will be a restricted free agent. I think an unrestricted free agent after that, but I'll double check that to make sure. He has exercise. He had a team option that got exercised as well.
Yeah, no, he's on his rookie scale deal, so he'll be restricted next year.
Yeah, good to know. He'll be a restricted free agent also. But yes, like I said, that team option was exercised. He averaged 11 points, 12 rebounds, and 2.4 blocks, 66% from the field. That means he is in the paint living and having a great time. The reason this was brought up is because Sarah Todd, who is a Utah Jazz beat reporter, shout out to her, she reported that the Utah Jazz are expected to listen to trade offers for Walker Kessler, Texas Ranger. Would you take a look at the Ranger?
I would. I think he's really one of the premier rim protectors in the game right now. Coming out of college, I wasn't super high on him just because I wasn't sure how he would fit in the modern NBA, but he is such an outlier good rim protector that I think he's been able to have success despite the Jazz just not being a very serious team at this point in their rebuild. That's okay. If he gets traded to another team, I think he's going to put up huge numbers. You can imagine him on the Lakers just being an incredible fit with Luka and just being their backline defender that they really need. So he's the kind of guy that will be really highly sought after because of his number. And the other piece is you're going to have to pay him, right? So this is a getting out from ahead of a situation where you're going to have to give him $25-30 million a year. And are you going to be willing to do that? And so one, I think you have to worry about the cost. How much does it take to get him? We saw the Mark Williams trade that the Lakers and Hornets had, and then the Lakers reneged on, where it was pick, a swap, and Dalton Connect for Mark Williams. I think it would be even more. I think he would cost more than that for whatever team tries to trade for him. So I don't know what cost you would be willing to pay for him or for any of these guys. The one name that I forgot to mention is Jaren Jackson Jr. He's going to be up for a renegotiation and extend with the Grizzlies, but that's the kind of guy where I might be the most willing to push all my chips in because he's an elite defender. He shoots a three. He's young. He fits a timeline, and he can create his own shot and score. But that's the kind of player that I think the Bulls really need to be going after.
Yeah, I agree. I find it also upsetting that before they drafted Walker Kessler, they needed Walker Kessler. And even 3 years after Walker Kessler, they still need Walker Kessler. I think he fits perfectly here with what they're trying to do. You mentioned the rim running with Luka. Well, I mentioned thinking about the rim running with a guy like Josh Giddey.
For sure.
That's immediate kind of thing that he would do. And the fact that he knows what to do when he's in the paint. That's why he's shooting 66% from the field, because he knows exactly what to do when he gets down there, and that's put the ball into the bucket. And that would help the Bulls. But it's the defense that they have been sorely lacking and sorely missing at that position. This isn't a dig at Vooch at all. It's just that they have been missing that up and down that roster, especially in that front court. And he provides that stability immediately, and he changes things immediately for your team, just impacting them by being out there and for standing there. And that's just honestly really important. And you need that kind of stuff, man, when you're building a young roster and building a young team.